Today we're going to start part 5 of Project X Haul. If you want to see how we turn this into this, stick around. I'm JC Smith. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Typical truck mud flap, 24 inches wide, 30 inches long. We're going to make a light bracket that we can not only have lights in, but mount our mud flap to. So the truck itself, the center of the frame is 34 inches wide. We want to be right about 8 foot to the outside of our mud flap so we can cover the tread of the tire. So as you can see here, based on what I've got laid out, we got a little bit more here than 24 inches. We're making these 30 inches long, and then we're going to cut them and make them to where we can mount them to the truck. So that being said, I'm going to set up, I got the Evolution saw set up. This thing is fast as fast can be. This is one of the benefits of having 2 of these saws. I've got one in this shop and I've got one in another shop. So this steel is in the other shop, so I don't have to take it over to the other shop to cut it. Nice clean cut, accurate cut every time. So I've got these laid out. I found the center of it and I make a line all the way down on both of these. And then I just take this old bracket. This is actually a bolt-on bracket for an oval light. And I just set it on here. I set it so it's perfectly flat there. Put it straight on the edge, make a mark, trace it. Make a mark, trace it. Same thing, make a mark, trace it. Pretty simple. By using this, it gives me good spacing here where the grommets come in this area, right in here, and it leaves about a ½ an inch between the grommets so they don't touch. Looks pretty decent. You can buy templates on Amazon for your plasma cutter. I don't do it. I do this. I come in, you'll see this one, I come in 1.25 inches and I'll drill a hole. I'll use a hole saw. I'll drill each one of these. This is only 1/8 inch material. It goes pretty quick. And then I'll just take plasma and connect them. And in a matter of no time, we got some light brackets. We'll have to do some work on the ends here because I want to cap them because we got something else to go in there. So I got my 2.5 inch hole saw, and there's a tendency for guys to just want to immediately go after drilling this. And the problem is, if you start drilling your pilot hole into your material, as soon as this hole saw catches, it wants to bend that bit and break it. So it's in our best interest to just drill our pilot hole first. So just take the hole saw, that bit off, and then drill our pilot hole and then come back. So we drilled all of our holes on the drill press. They're 2.5 inch. It was really fast on the drill press. And I got to looking at this, and I was going to put ovals in here, but I think before I commit to connecting these and making it the oval, I'm going to look at PartSam's website and see if they have any stop-turn tails that I could use. And maybe we could do 4 stop-turn tails and then 2 backups, or 3 and 3, or something like that. You know, 2 clear backup or 3 clear backups. So I don't want to commit to this yet. I want to decide what to do there. I do know we're going to cap the ends off. So I just grabbed some scrap steel and made it fit just to where it'll sit on top of that. And then we'll weld that all the way around and then flap disc it nice and smooth. But I want to drill a hole in the end of that because we're going to put a 3/4 LED here. So I went ahead and marked them, just went corner to corner, and that gives us their center. And we're going to put these in the drill press and drill them out real quick. All right, we're gonna weld these on the ends here, and we're going to stick with that same process just so I don't want to change anything. So all we have to do is just turn this down. We're still going to be MIG, flux cord, 35 thousandths wire, 25% CO2, and 75% argon. We just need to take this down, so we'll get around there and tack it and see how it holds, see how it does, and maybe we'll turn it down from there. Mudflap disc and clean her up. We'll live with that. Not perfect, but acceptable. Okay, so we are done welding on these now. I guess now I have to decide if I'm putting 2.5-inch lights or grommet lights, the ovals. Well, let me go look at the Parts Am website, see what I can find. So my parts order showed up for my lights. These are what we're going to use on these taillight brackets. A little untraditional, unconventional maybe, but it might be all right. I think I might like it. So if you notice, each one of these has 4 wires. You have a ground and you have 3 other functions. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting these up. We got 6 and 6 here. We're going to set these up to where we have 3 of one and 3 of another. The other ones will start right here. And we're going to screw them down into our bracket. Again, a little unconventional. We may have to do something else for DOT. Somebody might need to do like reflective tape or reflectors back here maybe, because these are not a reflective lens. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. If it becomes an issue, we could always just cut it between the two and put in oval lights. But the reason why we have so many wires is because this is going to be a stop. It's going to be a marker light, a stop light, turn signal combination, and it's also going to light up green. This one is going to be a backup light, and it can also light up as an amber marker, amber turn signal if need be. So we have a lot we can do with these, but I think what we're going to do is wire this up to be marker, stop, turn, tail. Stop, turn, and tail. And then we might wire up the green. It'd be kind of neat. These ones are going to be our backup lights. So we're going to have 3 backup lights. It's going to make it nice and bright. I was going to do 4 of the stop, turn, tails and then 2 backups, but it kind of moved the backups in a good bit. So I moved them. I decided to go 3 and 3. I think there's 17 LEDs in these. I think that's what it says, what I counted. So I'm going to get some test leads. Let's turn these on and see what they look like. The white is the ground. The black should be the marker light option. This will be the stoplight option. It's pretty bright. And this will be the green. Oh yeah, that will be awesome. So I guess it'd be nice to put some other green lights on here too, huh? Wonder if we can do something else. I have an idea for a running light if we don't run out of time, that is. I really need to get this thing finished and move on to the next truck build, because we've got something pretty interesting planned. Now this one should be amber, so we'll have a amber marker. We'll have an amber, basically brighter, like a turn signal. And then we should have backup. Oh yeah. Imagine 17 of them times 3. We'll have 3 on this side, 3 on the other. That's going to be bright. I'm undecided on if I should make these turn signals in here, or marker lights even. The amber can't be marker lights, but they could be turn signals. So when you turn the brake lights on, they would come on though. I don't know. I'll have to see how I feel about that. So the next thing I need to do, because I've already laid out all my holes and drilled them. I drilled for my mud flaps all the way through. Probably can't see them. There's one there. There's one right behind there. Next thing is license plate. I want to put the license plate under here, but I want to make sure there's enough room for a light. And I'm going to be using a 3/4 LED, so I've set this back 1/4 inch past this radius so my grommet will lay on here on the flat and not hang over the radius. And then we have to make a couple tabs. This is where the bolts for the license plate would go. So we need to weld on a couple tabs that hang down, but we don't want it sitting past here because our mud flap's going to be flat there. So we got to hold it back a little bit. We got to be able to get a bolt through there. So I need to drill that, and I got to create some tabs. So I got to find them. Now that I've got my license plate bracket little tabs figured out, I got the hole drilled for the license plate light. Now I need to make a pathway for the wires for the lights to get inside the frame. A lot of times I find on trucks where they'll come out of a light bracket, they'll go underneath it, it gets caught with crap or whatever, and it rips the wires out and they're exposed. I like to go through it and then bring my wiring into the junction box. So I'm going to make this I think it's 1/8 I'm drilling hole. So there's enough room to get all of my conductors through this hole in wire loom, so it's protected. It shouldn't be a problem for a long time. So we'll get these drilled, and then the next step is, after both sides are done, we're going to go ahead and weld our light bracket, mud flap hangers, whatever you want to call them, put them on, and we'll be almost ready for paint. That one's got a little bit of a twist. You know what? I can live with it. They're both twisted the same way. They're just slightly kicked up. So we just use that box tube as a straight edge so that we can get them in line with each other and level. So I can live with that. I'm gonna go ahead and weld it in. I wrap the corners a little bit, but I'm leaving the bottom empty so we can let water out. Oh my God. You say it. You know. It ain't going nowhere. Yeah. Okay. I am going to do this. I'm going to do a downhill. I'm going to V that out real quick. Somebody's cleaned the floor. So that can only mean one thing. Well, maybe it could mean more than one thing, but what it means to me is we're getting ready to paint. We got to get the floor cleaned up and wipe everything down with acetone. And I went ahead and welded this and flat disc it nice and smooth. This is where I got a little rambunctious cutting the frame, and I was a little bit, dipped. It'll be all right. I forgot to do this before when I put the hitch on. That ain't going nowhere. I lifted on the one or pushed on it, it moved the suspension. Somebody found that funny, didn't they? Mm-hmm. And then you said,
it ain't going nowhere.
Okay, we'll get ready for primer and paint. We're gonna have to tape a lot of stuff off or cover it up or whatever. I could just use aerosol cans. Whatever. Well, there's 2 good coats of primer on it now. It looks a lot better. So today we're gonna get the 2 coats of paint on now. Let all that dry, because next we need to get some wiring done. So this is the importance of inspecting everything before you just go ahead and use it. I was getting ready to shorten this up, and look what we got here. I'm betting there's a bunch of crimp connectors under this. Doesn't look like that repair is that old. The tape they used to put it together was pretty decent stuff. Yeah, heat shrink butt connectors. Yeah, that's not doing any good. And that's not doing any good. That's not doing any good. That's not doing any good. So it looks like none of the 10s, the yellows, were, well, actually none of them. None of them were heat shrinked enough to actually close it all up. Not one of them. Surprise, surprise. So we have a battery disconnected on this, so I don't have to be concerned about this red wire, which is usually a, look at that. That ain't us. Yeah, this is exactly why you never leave this stuff alone. Always inspect it. Anyways, we have the battery disconnected, so we're not concerned about shorting anything out here. And this was to the trailer 7 pin, which is ironic that they had a backup. They have a trailer brake wire here as a light blue, but I believe they were using the light green as a backup. This is our marker here, and that is our left turn. So we're not going to be using any of that mess. Now what we're going to do is pull this all back and shorten this up so we can run our wires from one box to the other and only lengthen what has to be lengthened. I don't want any more splices than we have to have, just the minimum. We have a lot of soldering in our future. So this is the actual lighting harness for the back of the truck, and you'll see, maybe you can see how GM does this and most manufacturers. They'll split off and have 2 taillight circuits here, and a lot of times they'll have 2 grounds. In this case it only has 1, and then out of here they must have 2 grounds that go this way. But you can see this is the left-hand turn. One of these is right-hand turn, and it's probably this one, and this is probably the backup signal. But we'll check all that before we actually terminate, which means I'll have to get the battery hooked back up real quick. But you can see how much wire is here, and what I'd like to do is bring the wire that goes to this side in here, and then take the ones that go that side over there, and only have splices just where the wire wasn't long enough to do what we needed. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this off real close, this pigtail, because we'll never need that again. So this was the last solder joint on this side. All I did was take the lights, there's these 3 that are the same, and I just brought all the wires together where this light is, and I had 1 solder joint here, and I did the same thing here, including this light, and I have 1 solder joint here for each function. And then I put deox and heat shrink over it, and she is ready to go. Now we can just put the screws in. I looked up the DOT specs on this. The regulations say, well, I'll just post it because there's a lot that it says. I was concerned about these not being reflectors, but the way it reads, with this being a truck tractor, there's no body on it. All I need is stop, turn, tail, and as long as I have a reflector, then we're okay. So where to go? We have a reflector we can put right here that's very close to that same diameter. So that may be what we do. I don't know.
Oh man.
You gotta be kidding me. We were so careful with these all the way. Now I gotta go find a screw, something similar to this. Great. Okay, so we broke one of them screws. On the very last one, I snapped the screw. I was being so careful. I thought I had one I could replace it with, but it is just ever so smaller diameter. Whatever. Guess we'll have to use something else on the other side. Okay, this side's done. Now we can go get our mudflap cut for the other side and start on it. Don't look bad, does it?
Nope.
It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right turn. Turn that off. Brakes. Up. This is ridiculous. These light up green when you're in reverse, and then these all light up clear. It's just ridiculously bright. Oh man, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, turn it all off. Well, we've got all of that done, as you can see. Now I need to tidy up some wiring in here. I've got a couple more solder joints to make here, and I'm going to put all this in split loom, bring it around, tie all this up, put it in split loom, and then put our 7-way trailer plug in it. But I'm happy with how the paint came out in the shop. When it gets outside, it'll be a different story. But one thing about primer and paint, it took my welds from a solid 5 to a 5 to a solid 5.1. Anyways, we got a little bit more to go, and we are just about done with this part of it. So now we're all finished with this. I've got the 7-pin finished up wiring, mud flaps are done, all my harness is secured. I like to use these split loom clamps wherever possible. It keeps it nice and tight and keeps it from rubbing on stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about the lights themselves. We'll decide. Somebody else likes it or doesn't like it. New owner, like I said, it's set up so that you can cut in between two and you can put regular grommet lights in. And if you're wondering why I chose the amber and the green, it's because in Ohio you can use amber and green in like a flashing type deal if you're like plowing snow or something like that. So someone could actually make that to where it goes back and forth between amber and green, those inside 3 to outside 3, if they were plowing snow or something else that would let you use those colors. So I think for right now we'll call it done. I got a little touch-up paint to do where my rings, my hooks were on my D-rings, but that's it for this part. Next time we'll pick up. I have another thing to take care of, a little bit of custom work. Peter Zeal is coming down. We're going to do a little bit of TIG welding on something for this, and we'll see how that turns out. If it turns out and we like it, we'll use it. If not, we won't. But hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one.